Celebrate our nation's birthday at the largest 4th of July event in southern Arizona. Enjoy live music, a large selection of food trucks, and the best fireworks show in the region. We'll see you on Tuesday, July 4th from 5 to 9:30 p.m. at Crossroads at Silverbell District Park. Visit maranaaz.gov/events for more information.
Why would you want to work for the town of Marana? Well, let's hear what our employees have to say.
I feel like working for the town of Marana makes you feel like a person, not a number.
I really wanted to work for the community where I lived.
I have children that play in the parks.
Working for a public entity, it's kind of a sacred trust. I like that. It's an honor to serve.
The town's mission is to provide 5-star service for a thriving community.
To me, 5-star service comes from within. It's a drive to make your surroundings a better place.
Providing community service like the Founders Day Parade, the swim lessons, clean drinking water.
Of course, the benefits are great.
I get sent to seminars and conferences, and
Town of Marana compensates vacation.
We do have an amazing gym facility, alternate schedules as well. Our employees are also able to telework.
My supervisor in particular really cares about our work-life balance.
My colleagues are fun. It's just a fun place to work.
We have a culture of friendship.
the people in general that work here and apply here all want to make a difference in their everyday life for themselves and for the community.
Let's make an impact on our community. Visit maranaaz.gov/careers and apply now.
Welcome to Real Talk with the Town, where I sit down with the Marana staff to answer your burning questions about our beautiful community. My name is Terry Rozema, and I'm the town manager for the town, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Real Talk with the Town. My name is Terry, and I'm your host for the show, and today we have an episode about recreation and being healthy and all of those good things. And to kind of start us off, kick us off with the show and kind of lead us through some of the things that are going on in the town, I have our very own Parks and Recs Director, Jim Conroy, with us. Jim, go ahead and say hello to our listeners.
Morning, Terry. Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. We're always excited to talk about our programs and services. And I think we have a fair amount of information that the listeners, hopefully it's going to help them, because we've gotten a lot of inquiries about different summer programs and some of our loop projects, and I'm hoping we can provide them with the information that they're looking for.
Well, you are already hitting on some of the questions that have come in as of late, and one of them deals with, actually two of them deal directly with what you just mentioned, and that is the bike loop.
Yeah.
You know, the shared use path, the Chuck Huckelberry Loop,
Yeah.
and that has not been a true loop for the people that live up here in the Gladden Farms area. So we've got somebody that says, when will the town of Marana finish the bike loop between Aver Valley Road and Gladden Farms? And then the next one, I've been waiting 6 years for the bike path to connect from Tangerine to Aver Valley. Every year I am told it will be done next year. Please connect us to the loop. So Jim Conroy, I want to hit on that right off the bat. But before we jump into that, I'm going to do a little icebreaker here, as we do on every show. And I'm going to ask you, because you're a lifelong guy in the Parks and Recs field, and you take that very seriously. You get out there and recreate yourself. You set the standard. You set the example. So, what's your favorite way to recreate here in Marana?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been going on 6 years here at the town, came in 2017, and, one of the things that really attracted me to the town was the great trail system.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 7 park properties between Ina Road and Sanders Road. And I love jumping on the bike myself and getting on the loop. It gives me an opportunity to see my parks. It also gives me an opportunity to interact with constituents here and there and citizens using the loop and getting feedback. And what's really cool about it is you'll see young families and you'll see people who are probably 80-ish out there either walking or biking or whatever it is. And, of course, as we always talk about here in our park and recreation programs, we're here to serve from the toddlers right through to the seniors, and everybody's super important. But yeah, I like to jump on the bike, Terry, and do my own exercise and go up and down that stretch, because as I said, in that stretch, we have 7 properties, so it gives me a chance to pop in and see what's going on. And my staff says I surprise them when I do that, and they say,
surprises are good in that respect, though, I think.
And, as you know, we have a pretty darn good crew, so I very seldom see something where I'm overly concerned. But what I do see is I see safety issues that I can get fixed.
Good.
I'll see
excellent.
it. I'll see it from a perspective of maybe there's an issue on the path where we'd need to do a repair or a transition into one of our parks. Maybe it doesn't give a person the radius to turn in properly.
Yeah.
As we know, you fall on a bike, it can be a serious injury. So a lot of what we do in public service, as you know, boss, we're regularly mitigating and protecting people. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good for our listeners to know that we have somebody that is out there on the bike path who is actually responsible for the bike path and ensuring that our residents are being able to use it safely. But as somebody who actually uses it on a regular basis, you also understand the concerns of the people from North Marana not being able to tie into it. So let's talk a little bit about that. This has been quite the process. It's been a lengthy process. Tell me why, Jim Conroy, it has taken us so long. Are we just not competent, or is it something else? I'm hoping it's something else.
Well, I think it's a great question. Recently, I want to start off with kind of a little bit of an end game here, Terry. The bid goes out for the Cal Portland segment next week, and that's been confirmed with our...
Okay, so wait a minute. This guy's been waiting 6 years.
Yeah.
He's been told every year it's going to be next year. Still hasn't happened. When is it going to happen? And you're saying that we finally have somebody on board that's going to make it happen.
Well, it's been a great team.
Okay.
It's been a great team. And I mean, when you look at one of these projects, Tom Hool, our project manager, has worked very hard. Our procurement folks are helping us get this out the door. Our legal team, Jane Farrell, has worked tirelessly on this because there was land acquisitions with Cal Portland that had to be done. We had one of the huge TEP poles, like a 70-footer, that had to be relocated. We're talking about cranes. We're not talking about something low key. So there's a lot of things that have happened to clear the way, and land acquisition was certainly part of that. Moving utilities was another part of that. And then negotiation with Cal Portland. Now, we're very grateful for Cal Portland as a community partner, but it's been a process.
Yeah, so what some people don't really recognize and understand is the fact that this portion of the path is actually going through Cal Portland property.
Yeah, it actually is. And here again, that's where some land acquisition, was needed. And for those who aren't specifically familiar with it, this would be... we're connected from Gladden Farms area that you mentioned, where, I'm not sure the exact population, but North Marana, 25,000 people, I'm assuming, somewhere in that area, but a very large population. A lot of path users. Now, we have approximately 4.5 miles that's paved from Sanders Road south through Gladden Farms Community Park, and it stops about 1.8 miles north of Ever Valley Road, which goes right behind the big cement plant.
Yeah.
And this project that I'm referring to will connect that 1.8 miles.
Right.
And it's a tricky 1.8 miles because you have a haul road, and that's basically where Cal Portland is bringing in the lime.
So they got all their big, heavy trucks.
We're talking
up and down
mining trucks.
This gravel road.
Exactly.
So some of the concerns from Cal Portland, and I think rightfully so, is we're going to be allowing bicyclists and pedestrians and children and the elderly walking down this path near our operation. And trying to make sure that this could be done in a safe way was a major hurdle that we had to get over with them.
Yeah, I think, communication, for instance, the haul road where these massive mining trucks are bringing in material, basically, that is west of the Santa Cruz River and coming east towards Cal Portland. We're talking about 500,000 pounds is what they had to basically. We had to build a culvert that these trucks are going to go over. So you can imagine the engineering and so forth that's involved with that. And the people who are really familiar with this area, there's a conveyor belt that also goes over that area. We have to go under the conveyor belt. So from an engineering perspective, it was really challenging. But you hit the nail on the head, is safety. Is how can we construct this in a manner that Cal Portland is going to be comfortable with it. So there was a lot of discussion back and forth. Even Frank Cassidy, who was our attorney at that time, spent a lot of time helping us negotiate with Cal Portland. We went back and forth on the size of the trucks and so forth. And we finally landed on a construction plan in a design that Cal Portland was comfortable with. But their offices in Los Angeles, where their risk managers were, and their legal team reviewed that. So there was a tremendous amount of review to make sure that this is going to be safe and it's going to mitigate, obviously, liability. That it's basically the Cal Portland operation is going to not, they're going to be comfortable with it, and our people who are going to be on the path are going to be safe.
Yeah.
So very long process.
So I hear you describing all of these things, and as I'm hearing you articulate what has to be done, I'm thinking, man, this sounds really complicated.
Yeah.
So, when you start talking about going under conveyor belts and having, these big trucks going over things and, going through private property and having to work a deal to acquire land and ensure safety and all of these things, I can see the complexity of this whole project. And when I start hearing about the complexity of a project, as a town manager, I start seeing dollar signs, man. Sure. Right? So how much is this project going to cost us, man? This sounds pretty expensive.
Yeah, I think when you round it up, it's about $3.3 million. I want to say that we have spent probably about $400,000 in design. There's about $2.9 million that is left for construction. And as I said, with that haul road where those big heavy trucks are going over, it's a culvert. We're actually going to go under that.
Wow.
So it's pretty significant engineering, as I said, in construction.
And this is a bike path that is about how long?
16 feet wide.
16 feet wide, and about how long?
It's a 1.8 mile stretch that we're going to connect. And then when you get to the bridge, and you get to Ever Valley, to keep people safe, like it is all over the loop, all 131 miles of the loop. The cyclists, the walkers, folks using the loop path there, they'll go underneath Ever Valley, then they'll loop up on top, and then on the south side of the bridge, they'll be able to cross safely. There'll be a concrete wall to protect them. So there's also going to be a lot of construction on the bridge itself. We're going to lower the miles per hour. We worked with Pima County regarding that. They were very helpful in that regard. So speed will be reduced. Going over the bridge for motorists. And then the folks who will be using the path, they'll go from the east side of the path. When they're coming down from Gladden Farms, they'll go under Ever Valley, they'll loop up on top, cross to the west side of the path at Ever Valley, and then go south. And from there, they're connected to 131 miles.
Okay, so this is huge. This is a big deal. I mean, it's 2 miles of bike path. And, when I start thinking, okay, the town has to, put in a 16-foot wide, 2 miles of bike path, and that sounds pretty simple.
Not a big deal, right?
Yeah, not a big deal, man. What has taken so long?
Yeah.
But I think when you described exactly what you've described here in what it has taken to work with, a private entity, over the years to get this thing to where it's at. Huge project and going to be highly beneficial. And I think you hit on something that I didn't know at the time. There are 100 and how many?
It's about, in fact, yesterday, you were actually there. It was at the chamber. We did a presentation. And the director, one of my colleagues, the director of Pima County Parks and Rec, was also presenting at Marana Chamber yesterday morning. And it's actually, I said 131, it's actually 136 now.
136 miles of bike path that will be available now that people can access. And I think, from a safety standpoint, that's just huge. I know some people like to ride their bikes on the streets, they're street riders, right? But man, from a safety standpoint, being able to have a bike path with access to that many miles to exercise, to recreate, et cetera, absolutely phenomenal. So,
well, and I think, too, the thing that needs to be mentioned is the partnership with the county on this. Of that $2.9 million, Terry, that for construction, we're going to receive $500,000 from Pima County government for that project from the flood control department. They've been a strong partner in this initiative. That demonstrates, I think, two things. One is they absolutely saw the significance of this connection. A lot of people who have been working on the loop since the late 80s, see this as one of the last major connections in the region. And I think absolutely Pima County government saw that, and they've come up with $500,000. So of that 2.9, $500,000 is going to come from Pima County. And I think hearing Ed Honey recently, our mayor Ed Honey, when we did a land acquisition a few months ago and it came to council, Mayor Honey spoke about this project going back 20 years. And at one point, it was actually not owned by Cal Portland, that property. And Mayor Honey, I thought, added even more interesting history. So it goes back as far as 20 years. So the fact that this is going to bid this week is very significant. Construction will probably start after monsoons because it's just smart. It's right on the river.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to have a contractor that's going to be on there on board in October to have that construction. Probably 150 days construction. So with a little bit of luck next year at this time, we're going to be open. And you also hit a very important point, Terry, and I think that's safety. These paths keep people safe. Now, sure, you can crash out here, but we're looking at mitigating all kinds of, when there's cracks, we seal them, and, we do the pavement removal.
Tremendous maintenance program.
A lot of maintenance. I know the county has over 50 employees, that actually that's all they do. I think it's 54 employees in the entire loop. And, of course, our staff with 7 properties, we're on the loop every day.
Right.
And basically, it keeps people safe. Too many people get hit by cars on the road.
Yeah.
When they're riding their bikes. So this really is all about keeping people safe. And we've had some nice improvements, as you know, behind Amazon this year. We had another nice improvement. But that's Cal Portland, and very exciting this week that's going out to bid.
Yeah, and so great for me to hear that it wasn't because we were being lazy or incompetent or didn't care. It's just because it's a very complicated project. And, my hat is off to you, Jim Conroy, to your team, to people like Jane, as you mentioned, that worked really hard on this, Frank Cassidy before her, and,
Tom Hool.
Cal Portland, Tom Hool, big guy right there involved in that, no doubt.
There's an easier way to get your rec on in Marana. Download the Marana Parks and Recreation app today to learn about parks and trails, request reservations, and register for programs. Don't miss out on a fun time. Available in the App Store for Apple and Android phones.
Are you splash savvy? In the event of a home drowning, you are the first responder. We'll walk you through the steps so you can prevent further complications until help arrives. Learn more from Marana Lifeguards, Marana Police, and Northwest Fire District at maranaaz.gov/splash savvy. We are first responders against drowning, and we are splash savvy.
Typically our supervisor's goal is to have us respond to something within a half an hour.
From road debris and potholes to water leaks, the town of Marana is on it. Don't let a problem go unnoticed. Download the My Marana app for Android or Apple phones and do good today.
Let's jump into a little bit of something else that's been coming up as of late, and that is the pickleball. Now, Jim, pickleball is not something that I've ever played before. I don't think I've ever even seen anybody play it, up close and personal. So tell me a little bit about why this pickleball is sweeping the nation, and what is the town of Marana doing to ensure that the residents of Marana get an opportunity to get in on this cool new fad?
Yeah, it's one of the fastest growing sports in the country, and really has been for the last 5-8 years. It's really just picked up in popularity. It really started off a little bit more as a senior sport, but that is also, and it still is strong. However, we've seen over the last few years that younger people are playing. In fact, in the junior highs, they've been offering it as a program, so we see kids playing it. So it's a great family activity. But as you know, it's a sport court sport. So you basically, you're on a court that's a little smaller than a tennis court.
Isn't it like half the size of a tennis court? Do they play it on half of a tennis court?
Well,
how do they
to
do
put
that?
it in perspective for you, size-wise, on a full-size tennis court, you could build on a pad that you would lay for a full-size tennis court. You could put 4 pickleball courts. But you're still out there hustling. I mean, this is really great for fitness. and you're hitting a ball that's like a wiffle ball with a paddle that has a little bit of a pad on it. And we jumped in the game ourselves, as we should. We have a league now over at Orme Harn. We can
Wait. What?
I thought you were.
We've got a pickleball league?
I thought you were in the league.
Oh,
I got
man.
bad.
I'm getting in on it, dude.
Oh, I thought you were playing. They gave me bad information.
Oh, yeah. I'm not in it yet, but I can assure you.
You will be.
I will be.
Yeah.
So we got a league.
Yeah.
What are we talking here? We got like a couple teams, 2 teams, 4 teams. What do we got?
It varies, but we might have 6 teams show up. One session. There could be more. It fluctuates. With the weather and so forth. But what we did over at Orme Harn Park, Terry, is that we converted a tennis court. We have 2 really nice lit tennis courts there. And we converted 1 to 3 pickleball courts. Tennis players seem fine with it.
Yeah.
They seem to be fine with it because.
But is there a little bit of competition there? Is there a little bit of the tennis players looking down their nose at those pickleball players, or do we not have that?
We do.
We do.
Yeah, we do. But I think we've done. I have to say, I think our staff, we've done a pretty good job of trying to make sure that the tennis players aren't getting pushed off the court, so to speak. Because on the tennis courts, we also have all our tennis courts in the town and Continental Ranch area, as well as over here at Orme. We also have them lined for pickleball. So it's a smaller court, just like you have in a big gymnasium where you might have, multiple courts that are lined, from volleyball to badminton to basketball, whatever it might be. Same thing on the tennis court. We have, on our tennis courts, we have pickleball courts that are also lined in there. So we actually have 4 courts over at Orme when we use the tennis court. But is there a little bit of a tension there? There is, but we've tried to stay ahead of that because that's kind of a national thing that municipalities are dealing with. And in the new recreation center that we talked about in the last podcast, we will have 9 indoor pickleball courts. So that's going to be our first really big step to offer. So with 9 courts, then you can really start doing tournaments and so forth. And of course, the nice thing about having an indoor with the weather year round, during the hot season, we could do tournaments in July. So, between our league and between the courts that we're going to put inside at our new community center, we're trying to incorporate these courts as much as we can. And then we have a senior program that we started we have 400 and I think it's 69 seniors that are part of our senior program over at our community center in Orme Park, and we've started a special program with pickleball for them, and it's been really well received. It's very instructional to teaching people to stretch and the fundamentals of the game, and that's another area that we've tried to help people introduce them to the game and how you start to play. So as a Parks and Recreation Department, we're absolutely between the league and the instructional program we're doing with the seniors, and then adding them at the community center. And we'll continue to try to incorporate more courts as much as we can.
Good. Well, I can tell you, in my position with the town, we've had a few people that have actually been approaching us, developers, about some developments that actually have pickleball incorporated.
Oh, sure.
The chicken and pickle. I mean, what is that? But it's actually a franchise. It's actually a restaurant that has pickleball courts.
Oh, wow.
And
cool.
pretty cool kind of concept, I guess. And so it's, I guess they have one up in the Phoenix Valley area. Some people are talking to us about doing that down here, kind of hoping that happens for us. That would be pretty neat.
Very cool.
So on to, we've talked about the loop, we've talked about pickleball, and there's a few other people that have some questions about dog parks and charging stations. So, you talked about, we're always looking for ways to make our parks advantageous to as many people as possible, to get as many people out there with their interest, whether it's basketball or pickleball or, slides and swings. But a lot of people have dogs, and dog parks are a big deal. And so, what's the town stance on dog parks? Are we a dog-friendly community, would you say, Jim?
Yeah, we absolutely are, Terry. We're building one right now over the Gladden Farms community. In fact,
I was over there the other day checking that out. Actually,
it's
going to be pretty special.
It's going to be beautiful, and that's an arrangement that we had with Crown West, the developer, who's done obviously a lot of work in Gladden Farms, and They built the 2 soccer fields over there, and then we take that asset over and maintain it, into perpetuity. It becomes a town facility, and those soccer fields have been awesome. But just north of those new soccer fields, we're building this new dog park. We hope to have that open the last week of August is the target date right now. But we have dog parks throughout the system, both here in North Marana and Orme Harn, and then we have them also in the Continental Ranch area and also up at Tangerine Sky. We also have one. So in all 3 geographical areas of the town of North Marana and, of course, Continental Ranch area, and also in the Dove Mountain area at Tangerine Sky, we have dog parks. So, it's a major, I look at dog parks as a major park element. Yeah. And it's very important to have them distributed throughout the community. But this new dog park that literally is under construction as you and I are sitting here right now, you always try to make it better the next time. Yeah. So I say it's a developer-driven project. We were involved in the selection of every piece of equipment, what the fencing was going to be, what the turf was going to be, what the decomposed granite, transition areas,
so much more,
shade.
So much goes into these that people just don't realize. I certainly didn't anyway. So, to kind of hear and be behind the scenes with you guys as you have worked with Crown West to develop this park. Pretty special, and I know you guys are doing some additional, upgrades to the Continental Ranch, adding some additional shade, permanent shade structures down there. So, hats off to you and your crew on that one as well, because I think that is a big deal, and people's pets are very, very important to them.
Yeah, and for that population, we're really hoping to get that done in July, Terry. We're working with our vendor right now.
The Continental Ranch one?
The one at Crossroads. 2 really nice shade structures. And that was the other thing I was going to say. People need to be comfortable. Yeah. They need to be comfortable. We talked in the last segment that we had recently about the importance of shade in our parks. So that's another project that, we're really enthusiastic about, to give those folks in the Continental Ranch area 2 nice shade structures at that Crossroads Park, dog park. I think it's going to be terrific, and hoping to get that done in July.
Now, there's actually a question here, a mention of electric charging stations. I'm just going to go ahead and cover that for you, Jim, because I know that at this point it's not something that we have on the horizon. We have been, I will say, and this isn't information that you would necessarily know, but I can say that we have been approached, and we're still evaluating some of the proposals and recommendations on that. Could be something that comes in the future, but not anything we have planned in the immediate in this next year. So Jim, lots of stuff going on in the town. We're kind of wrapping up the show here, but anything that you want to highlight before we close the show out, things that you think folks want to know about, some real quick hitters that maybe you can touch on that keep people informed on things that matter to the people in our community.
Absolutely. Just a couple quick things, Terry. Tomorrow, our pool opens at Orme Harn Park, so that's a big deal. We open our pool every year. As you know, it's not a heated pool, so basically we go with the traditional summer season. We open up on Memorial Weekend, and we close on Labor Day weekend. And we hope to change that, as you also know, in a couple of years when we can have our year-round swimming pool.
Can't wait to have that community center and aquatic center open. Orme Harn Park pool has been a wonderful amenity for 50 years. Not too many 50-year-old pools out there, and I know you guys got a national award for unveiling the 50th anniversary or the 50th year celebration of the Orme Harn pool. So that was a pretty special, unique thing. But so what else? What else is out there?
I think that in here again, it's summer season, right? And we're going to be hitting our high temperatures. We have both splash pads open. The one splash pad at Crossroads and the other splash pad up here in North Marana.
Those are a big hit, man. Moms with little kids love those splash pads.
Absolutely. And here again, the service there we think is important as far as opening, because it gets warm early. These open at 9 in the morning. They're open at 7 o'clock at night. And the one here at Heritage Park in North Marana gets great visitation, just like the one at Crossroads. But those are open right now as well. And we open in April, and they're going to be open till October. And next week we have a really fun project. You talked about an award-winning program. You know, our drowning prevention program, the Splash Savvy program, is basically all about keeping kids safe around the water. And we don't do it by ourselves, Terry. We have great partners that are involved in that. MHC, Northwest Fire, Marana Police Department. And next week we have a really fun event to kick off our Splash Savvy drowning prevention program. We're going to have police officers from Marana Police Department, Northwest Fire, as well as our park and recreation lifeguards compete in a fun field games. They do a tug of war, and they do all kinds of fun kind of athletic competing. It's very competitive. Not that the police and the fire and the lifeguards are competitive, but
yeah, I used to play in some of those things, man. I know how competitive it can get.
So, you know, I would encourage you listeners, if they that's going to be next Saturday from 11 to 2 over at Orme Harn at our Marana pool, and it's just a lot of fun activity. So I would encourage folks to go out there. And then again on the 4th of July, we're getting ready for our Star-Spangled Spectacular, and that will be the evening starting at 5 o'clock of our fireworks show. So that's a big summer event, and as you know, we get a big crowd down there at Crossroads. So I just wanted to get a couple of those really fun events that are coming up, our Splash Savvy project, as well as our fireworks show on the 4th of July.
Excellent, excellent. So for our listeners, I want you to see the show notes for more information on everything Jim just talked about. There's so much going on, and we want you guys to be informed, and we'll have some additional information for you there. Jim, again, so appreciate you having you on the show. Even more so, appreciate your passion for Parks and Recs. I think we've got the best parks director in the entire state of Arizona, and I appreciate how hard you work to make things great for our community. So thank you for that, and thank you to our listeners for being a part of the show, listening in, sending us your questions. Until next time. Submit your questions by visiting maranaaz.gov/realtalk, and we'll answer them right here. To receive notifications for new releases, remember to click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please follow the town on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date on current news and events.